normally do wrap-ups every month. I don't love doing wrap-ups, but I feel like I do so many reading vlogs. I don't want it to be like you have to watch every single one to know my thoughts on every book. So I think doing quarterly wrap-ups makes the most sense, which is what I'm doing today. And so that means from the beginning of January to the end of March, that's the time frame of these books. And I'm gonna give you my thoughts and ratings on every single one. The first one that I read, I finished it January 1st. One Night Only by Catherine Walsh. And I read 2 of her books around Christmas time because they're Christmas themed romances. This one is not Christmas themed. So our main female character has a one-night stand with this man, and somehow they both end up at a wedding that's happening in Ireland. It's her best friend, and her best friend is marrying that man's brother. So she's the maid of honor, he's the best man, and they both previously just had a one-night stand with each other. I had a lot of issues with this book. The main female character is kind of insufferable and also messy. The decisions that she was making were insane. I honestly kept reading. I probably would have DNF'd it maybe 40-ish% through, but she was making such wild decisions that I had to see how it came out. I don't know if being hooked on a character's bad decisions is a great motivator for readers, but it worked in this specific scenario, and I gave that book 2 stars. Like I said, I really honestly did not like it for the most part. I only liked the drama, I guess. Then I read Off to the Races by Elsie Silver, and I gave it 2.5 stars. Honestly, the whole 2.5 stars is just because I love Elsie Silver and she writes romance really well. However, the main male character of this book was atrocious. Like, he was a big baby, like big rich spoiled brat. Disgusting. I hate men like that. The plot is basically this man has a ranch with horses. I don't really remember how he gets it, but he's very rich, whatever. There's this horse that's giving him issues, so he hires a horse trainer, and it's the female main character, and the romance is between those two. I hate the man, hate him so much. Could not stand him. So the 2.5 is just because I love Elsie Silver. She writes good tension, and other than that, I did not enjoy that book really at all. Then I started Harry Potter. So I read the first one, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I don't feel like I need to really go through what the Harry Potter books are about. You know, if you don't know, you can Google it. Sorry. But the first Harry Potter book I gave 4 stars. The second Harry Potter book, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, I gave 4 stars. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, I gave 4.5. I still can't decide if that one's a 5-star or not, because that was when I was really like, oh, these books are so good. The first 2 were like just okay, you know. 4 stars for nostalgia, kind of. Obviously, there's so much world building and, like, you know, they're cute, basically is what I'm saying. So I guess Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban is where I started getting more big feelings towards these books, especially because you meet Sirius and Remus. Anyways, the next book I read was The God of the Woods by Liz Moore, and I gave it literally 1 star because that book was so bad. I don't understand how you're gonna tell me that book is a thriller when not a single thrilling thing happens. Not a single thrilling thing happens. I was not on the edge of my seat. I was not wondering literally anything about anyone. It was that was like almost like a cozy book because nothing happens. But it's basically this girl goes missing from the summer camp, and the summer camp is tied to this like really rich family. And then there's like this family that's been working for the rich family for a really long time that are like kind of groundskeepers for the camp. It's all interconnected. It's all boring, to be honest. There's not a single thing that I thought was entertaining about that book. Therefore, the 1 star I feel like is explained. Next, I read Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. I gave this book 5 stars. This was my first 5-star of 2025. And listen, I love Ali Hazelwood. I love her books. I love her writing. I love her romances. I really won't accept that much criticism for her books. That being said, I will still accept some. I immediately finished this and gave it 5 stars because I love the characters, Scarlett and Lucas. Love them. And then I started seeing people's reviews about, you know, like Scarlett's best friend and who is also her love interest, Lucas's ex-girlfriend, is quite an issue in this book. She actually is just mentioned so much. it is a little bit ridiculous, and I do accept that criticism. I do agree. Like, she was in it way too much. I personally was just able to ignore her for a lot of it, which I guess, I don't know if that's normal. Like, I don't know if I should be really ignoring a whole entire character in a book. However, I just loved Scarlet and Lucas so much, I like could look past it, basically. I need to start explaining what the book is about before I start going into my thoughts. But this is about Scarlet is a diver. Where did they go to school? Stanford. And Lucas is a swimmer at Stanford. He's from Switzerland? Sweden? Why does it not say on? Anyways, they're both really good at their sport, but Scarlet is dealing with some sort of like mental block when it comes to doing her dives. And then, so that's like a little bit of a plot point. Lucas is like so good at swimming. He's like qualifying for the Olympics and stuff, I think. I don't entirely remember, but I really enjoyed it because I don't read swimmer, diver, sports romances ever. So that was really good experience for this being my first one. Also, I love Ellie Hazelwood so much. She knows how to write a romance, okay? Like, you can't, I mean, I can't deny that. So I still think it's 5 stars. I still love this book, but I do understand some people's complaints about it. Okay, the next book I read was Nora Goes Off Script by Annabelle Monaghan. I gave it 3.5 stars. So this is a screenwriter sells her script for a movie, and the production people, I don't know, they have to come to her house to film a scene because I guess is it a cabin, a tea room? I forget what she calls it. There's some special name for it. Anyways, that's not that important. But they come to film at this little house she has in her backyard. The main actor just like kind of camps out at her house. He's like, what if I just stayed here for the next week? And then she's like, okay. And then he keeps extending his like, oh, what if I stayed here for longer? She has 2 children. He becomes like very close with her children and everything. I did not super love this book because I don't love the one of us is famous trope. Like, I don't love actors having romances with normal people. It literally never works out. Also, the like third act conflict is almost always so predictable. I also just hate reading about Hollywood, honestly. Like, I don't really care to keep up with that much Hollywood stuff in real life. Like, I don't want to keep up with fake Hollywood either, so yeah. I didn't love that aspect of this book, but I still feel like giving it 3.5 stars is pretty good for a trope that I really hate because Annabelle Monaghan's writing is just really amazing. And I loved Nora as a character. I also loved her kids in this book, which is very interesting for me to say because I usually hate children in books. Yeah, overall, a really solid choice, and I'm really excited to read more of her books. Then I read An Ember in the Ashes and I gave it 3 stars, but I'm seriously considering changing that right now. I thought that book was just okay. Follows 2 characters, Elias, I think, and Laia. So Elias goes to like the war college, basically. He's being trained to be like a deadly soldier or whatever, and Laia is basically a slave. She's part of like a really oppressed group in this world, and it was okay. It was pretty good. I feel like Laia specifically was very flat as a character. She did not have that much depth, which doesn't make any sense because she's going through a lot, and I don't ever understand when that happens in a book. If you're going through so much trauma, how are you so one-dimensional? Basically, that's it. Like, I just thought it was okay, so I guess it makes sense. 3 stars is kind of just like an okay book. I don't think I will continue that series though. The next book I read though is Metal Slinger by Rachel Schneider. I gave this one 2.5 stars. 2 groups of people that don't like each other, so like I think my air is gonna be too loud. Where this one group of people lives on the land and this other group of people lives, I couldn't really tell if it was like on boats or what, or like land that's further away. I don't really know. But basically the people on the land don't like the people in the ocean, and they only let them on land like once a year. Our main female character is from the water people, and the main male character is from the land people. I don't know. It's fine. Everyone talks about the plot twist at the end being crazy, but I thought it was such a cheap shot that it made me not want to continue the series. The second book is coming out this year, I think. I'm not entirely sure, but I don't care. I think it was a cheap shot, very cheap writing of like what kind of happens, or like the big plot twist or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was okay. I didn't love the characters. I wasn't super attached to the plot. So all of that in combination with the fact the ending wasn't that good to me is why I will not be continuing the series. Reading Deep End made me really go down like I need to read Ellie Hazelwood's writing immediately. So I picked up Not in Love, which is a reread. This is like
well, it's my first reread of 2025, but I don't think I reread anything last year. I had rated this 4 stars, I believe, in 2024, but I rated it 5 stars this year because, like I said, Ali Hazelwood just really does it for me. Like, I just love her romances. I love the chemistry between her characters. This book, like, has actually so much more plot, even though there's a note in the beginning basically saying it's like an erotic romance. It's not just like a regular romance. However, there was like more plot than I was expecting. She like writing a note at the beginning of a book saying this is an erotic romance. I thought there was gonna be literally no plot, but there was. So basically, our main female character works at this company, and the main male character's company is trying to take over her company. And there's like some science technology involved of like she's creating some science technology, her boss created some science technology, and like legal things around like ownership and stuff. It's really good. I highly suggest this book if you're okay with like a romance that's pretty spicy. You know, obviously take that into consideration. Even though this was a reread, I still rated it and I still gave it 5 stars. I love this book. And this is where my reading of Harry Potter picks up again. So I read Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire and I gave it 4 stars. That book really dragged on for me. I think that's a normal reading experience for that book. I thought it was okay. It was good. Like, I appreciated it. I feel like we got a lot more of Harry's feelings. You know, traumatic things start happening in this book. So you get a lot from Harry. And then the Order of the Phoenix, I gave 4.5 stars. That book is, once again, like, the more you get into Harry and his feelings, like, the more attached you become to him and his friend group and everything. Not that you aren't at the beginning, but he's growing up and you're, not that I was even growing up with him. Like, hello, I'm literally an adult. That book, I feel like I couldn't give it 5 stars because I hate Umbridge so much, and obviously she's such a main part of that book that I just couldn't, she just pissed me off so much I couldn't give it. Like, I couldn't get a 5-star feeling because I was so pissed off, basically. Then, randomly, I read Once Upon a Broken Heart. Actually, no, it's just because I listened to it. I listened to Once Upon a Broken Heart and gave it 2.5 stars. This is about Evangeline and Jax is a fate, and Evangeline is stupid, and I hate her, and I feel like if you've watched my past 2 videos, I literally have just been on Evangeline because she's so annoying. I still stand by it. I don't even know what the actual premise of this book is supposed to be because she's just whining the entire time. That's all I really want to say about it, and I don't like that book at all. So, moving on. Well, then, honestly, if I feel that strongly about it, I feel like I should have a 1. Because I give it a 2.5 stars. I feel like it should be a 1. Then I read Wild Side by Elsie Silver, which is the 3rd book in the Rose Hill series. The main male character is a wrestler, and the main female character, what does she do? She's a chef or a baker or something like that. But she's taken over custody of her sister's son because her sister passes away. Anyways, the conflict of this book is very interesting. I kind of don't really understand where we were going with it from the start. And I feel like this one was packing more of an emotional punch, which I was really liking. And then it got really spicy, which Elsie Silver books are usually pretty spicy. But this one I don't know. It felt like as soon as the spice happened, then they only cared about the spice and kind of like left all the emotional connection behind, in my opinion. It really fell off for me, like, once the romance started, honestly, which is strange. I don't know. I have very mixed feelings about this book, and I really don't know what happened. So, unfortunately, not my favorite. I still give it 3 stars because, like I said, I still love Elsie Silver. I still love her writing. I still think her books are great. That one just was not right for me, I guess. I don't really know. Okay, and then the next book I read was Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, which I gave 5 stars. My first 5-star in the Harry Potter series. Oh my gosh, that book is so good. I said in my reading vlog of the whole series that's like the most teenage drama we get. Not that you forget the dark things that are happening in the world, but where it's like the most kind of lighthearted, even though it's like the closest book to obviously the last one, which has the most dark and depressing themes. I don't know, that book is so good. I absolutely adored that one so much, and it's a great second to last book, because like I said, it's like kind of have like how you have like a fun time before pain and suffering, and that leads me to I read Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Also give that one 5 stars. Oh my gosh. As someone who's only ever watched the movie, especially for the last one, like, because when I was younger, I read some of the books, not all of them. That book destroyed me. Oh my god. Also, the amount of things that are different in that book than in the movie, crazy. Loved it. Highly suggest, if you haven't watched read Harry Potter, you should. The next book I read was The Cloisters by Katie Hayes, and I gave it 1 star. This book is so bad.
I don't understand how a book with a premise that sounds so intriguing can be so boring. Basically, this girl gets an internship at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. She gets there and they're like, oh, JK, we actually don't have any room for you. Go back home to the middle of nowhere. Talks repeatedly about this place where she lives in the middle of nowhere. So she thinks she's gonna have to go back home. But then this guy who works in the cloisters at the Met, which is like the garden section, garden and like Renaissance art specifically of the Met, needs help. So he just hires her immediately and she works there. And then there's this girl that's like a little bit older than her, has a lot more money, a lot more like status, I guess, that she kind of tries to become friends with, or I guess does become friends with. I don't know. There's like a little circle of people at the cloisters that she starts to become close with, are interested in tarot cards specifically for some thesis. I don't know exactly, but the back of this book makes it seem like tarot is a prevalent theme in this book, and I honestly wouldn't say that's true. It's kind of like on the back burner. They talk about it sometimes, and like every time it gets brought up, you're like, oh, I forget that this is supposed to be relevant to the book. Like it just doesn't seem like it's that relevant. Anyways, this book is so boring, and I really don't recommend it at all, actually. Characters are annoying, the plot is boring. You honestly don't get anything out of it, in my opinion. So I'm so sorry if you like this book. Actually, if you like this book, please let me know why, because I'd love to know. After that book, I read A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed, and I gave it 3.5 stars. I really enjoyed this book. Also, can we talk about the cover and the book edges? Like this book is stunning. Also, the art is like matches so well with the vibe of the book, and I really enjoy that. Our main female character she is an architecture student at this college, where I think she's the only girl student in the architecture college. Her favorite author dies. For some reason, there's this competition to like redesign his house, and since she's an architecture student, she enters the competition, she wins, so she goes to this man's house to redesign it. It's in this area called the Bottom 100, which is like very close to the ocean. I don't know, they're constantly concerned about a second drowning, which is like, I feel like equivalent to a tsunami, where like the ocean comes in and takes everything kind of thing. I feel like I just mentioned the drowning though to like tie into the name, A Study in Drowning. Anyways, so she's at this man's house redesigning it, and then there's an English student from her same college who's there to like write about the author's death. And he's actually kind of uncovering some secrets about him, and she eventually teams up with him. It's really interesting. I feel like that description was not that interesting. I love Ava Reed's writing. It's really beautiful. The way she ties in imagery is absolutely stunning. Also, the book ties a lot into like mythology / like fairy tale folklore kind of things, so that also adds to the intrigue. However, it does have a pretty slow start. I don't think it really gets super entertaining until maybe 150 pages in. I would say that's like my only warning, is like maybe you're gonna be bored for the first half of it, but the second half is really good, so I still recommend it. And then I move on to The Battle of Never After. Similar feelings. First book, Once Upon a Broken Heart. Evangeline is annoying and stupid, and I can't stand her, therefore I can't stand the entire book, and I personally don't recommend it. If you don't like YA books, don't pick this up. Honestly, that was my mistake number one. If you don't like characters over-explaining their every thought and action, don't pick this book up. If you don't like authors, like doing a lot of telling and not showing, don't pick up this book. My main thing is I don't understand the hype around this whole series, and I just am still at a loss for words of why so many people like the series so much. I'm actually gonna go change that rating to also be 1 star, because I don't like that book. Then I read The Bandit Queens, and I gave it 4 stars. This book is so good. It's about this woman and her husband kind of just up and disappears one day, and then another woman in her community comes up to her and she's like, hey, you got rid of your husband. I don't like my husband. How did you do it? How should I kill my husband? How should I get rid of him? And it kind of becomes a little bit of a business for her. It's so funny because like that's the whole premise. Like I'm not really spoiling anything by telling you that. That's like on the back of the book. But there's so much more to this book about the main character, Geeta's personal growth. She also was hilarious. This book in general is so funny, but it deals with such heavy topics about, like they deal with the caste system. It's set in India, and also just like feeling like an outsider. Once her husband had disappeared, everyone thought she killed him. Like everyone kind of turned against her, and then also deals with friendship problems. It deals with so many things in such a nice way, such a funny way for such a dark subject. I really, really love this book. I really highly recommend it. 4 stars. The last book I read in March was The City of Gods and Monsters, which is the first book in the series. The series is called House of Devils. The first book is City of Gods and Monsters. I rated it 2 stars. Issue number 1 that I have with this book is that it's like 700 something pages, and it actually does not need to be that long. The plot is actually pretty interesting. It's a little bit stereotypical where it's like this human girl lives in a world of like demons and witches, and they're called Hellsayers. I don't really know. They're kind of like magical hitmen, I guess. I don't really know how to explain them. Anyways, so this girl's a human in the world. She thinks there's nothing special about her, and she's, you know, so she feels like such an outcast for being a human. And then somebody is after her, actually. It's someone like tries to capture her, basically. So she teams up with this Hellsayer, hitman, bodyguard type of guy who has magical powers. And they're like trying to figure out who's after her and why and what she is, if she's human, if she's not human. Like very stereotypical. I just had an issue with this book because it was so cringy. I genuinely like had to check when this book was published because it actually seems like it was written in 2013, 2016. They're talking about combat boots, ripped jeans, undercuts, like the guy has like an undercut or whatever. Oh my gosh, like it's actually just so cringy to me. And it's so, like, I picked it up not thinking that it was gonna be the best fantasy book in the world, and I know that. Like, I picked it up because I wanted like a fun little goofy time, but it's so long that it can't be a fun and goofy time because 700 pages is not a little fun read. Like, there's so much information in there, and I don't really think there needs to be. I don't think it was written the best. Like I said, it's quite cringy, so yeah, not my favorite book. I gave it 2 stars. I was kind of hesitant to even do this video because I feel like I've had such a bad reading January through March, whatever. I feel like I've been reading a bunch of garbage, and I don't really know why. I need to stop picking bad books, but like, you know, how am I supposed to know if I'm gonna like it before I read it? I don't know. I need to start doing better. I cannot continue reading like this. It's really detrimental having reading as like my #1 hobby. So, oh my gosh. Anyways, that's all 22 books that I have read this year so far. I would love to know what your favorite book that you've read this year so far is. Maybe I'll read it. I'll trust your recommendation and not pick up a bad book. But I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching.